Okay, welcome guys. So we're on another 3-person episode today. So me, Lee, and we've got Adam Tudor, who is our head of SEO.
Hello.
So we're talking all things automotive. It's been a big focus internally recently as we've been prepping for various things, including our upcoming webinar. But I think we're starting to really see some trends across search and how it can apply and how it changes across different industries. And automotive, I think, is a really key one for this. We know across search platforms that buyers aren't just Googling stuff anymore. They're looking on Reddit, they're looking on YouTube, they're looking on TikTok. And across these industries, it's just starting to understand how those different platforms play in and how we can start to think about it from different buyers' perspectives. So I'm going to ask a little question just kind of to start with. And I think coming at this from the buyer point of view, what made you each buy your last car? What were you looking for?
Oh, I'm a bit of a funny one because I'm electric.
Oh, gosh, oh.
So that makes my decision for me pretty much. But
So you went for brand.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously some context here. Lee obviously has a Tesla.
Yeah, I'm a bit techie, so yeah. I mean, you say that. I actually have 2 electric cars in my household.
Oh dear.
One of which is a Nissan and one of which is a Tesla. So I'm like fully on the electric thing.
Brilliant.
Okay.
But
was it the tech that drew you in? Or
the
was
tech
it...
played quite a big part. Because however long I've had it now, 2 years. Yeah, at the time, I think Tesla was one of the best in terms of tech that comes as standard. I think a lot of the other ones are add-ons. But the main reason was cost. I mean, I had an Audi before the Tesla that was costing a fortune to drive to and from working, and it cut about, I'd say it probably cut about between £200 and £250 out of my monthly bills.
So I guess for you, your first consideration was I want to go electric because it's cheaper.
Pretty much.
And then when you were looking at electric, you're like, right, now that's driven by what I want in the car in terms of tech.
Yeah, tech was a big thing for electric because you're giving up the driving experience when you go electric. So I think
Audi have a big electric range. The e-tron range, is one of the earliest ones. Like, did you not think about staying with Audi then when you?
I looked at Audi, definitely, but the Tesla was out in front with like range. It was charging infrastructure was another big one.
Oh yeah, the superchargers.
Yeah, there's so many Tesla superchargers up and down the country now. It's it does play a big part in range anxiety.
Range anxiety, God, that's a real thing, isn't it?
It's just totally a real thing. I've done a couple of like long drives. Yeah,
I saw my nephew at the weekend drove up from Gloucester, and they said they had to do a stop standard on the way every journey.
Gloucester Services is one of the best services.
Oh, it is a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, superb.
They're in a Mini, and they said it showed them all the charging points when they put in their route, and it showed them which ones to go to and stuff. So it planned all their charge routes out for them before they left, which sounded nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's as hassle-free as it can be, but it still has to be factored in. And, like, I've been on a journey before where I've got to a charger and it's been out of order.
I've heard that a lot.
And then I'm like...
That would cause me so much stress.
Yeah.
So, but they're so widespread now. Most McDonald's have a charger or 2 in the car park, and there's McDonald's everywhere, isn't there? So you can generally get to a charger.
What about you, Adam? Why did you buy your car?
Yeah, so we've not gone electric, but we've got... charging issues because we can't get a charger in our house currently. That's something that we're fixing at the minute.
Would you go electric if you could?
I think if we could have done, we certainly would have considered it much more. But because we can't home charge, that was a big deciding factor.
Yeah.
But there is a charger 200 yards down the road, but you have to pay premium prices and obviously leave it there and stuff. So we would have liked to consider it, but that wasn't an option for us. So went with size of the car, really, storage space, because we've got 4 in the family now. There's 4 of us, so for staycations, storage space for luggage, all that sort of stuff was a big factor. Just size, comfort. One of the biggest deciding factors, and you might think this is quite funny because it was quite a few years ago now. It might have been I don't know how long we've had the car, 4 or 5 years. Was they had Apple CarPlay?
It's a massive sway.
That was a massive
sway,
deciding factor because,
and so many people say that.
Yeah, we just didn't
Technology.
want, like my other half, we don't want any faffing Bluetooth pairing, having to use the manufacturer's like UX on, and they're all completely random. We just wanted something that works. So that was an essential for us, which sounds odd when you think about.
Well, no, it doesn't. Because I think this is what we're getting at.
Yeah,
I think this is what we're getting at is that nobody looks for the same thing in a car. I mean, they do, but like everybody's got something slightly different. Like some people go for performance and they want a certain engine and they want it to do certain speeds, etc. Certain people want technology, certain people want, you know, it to be family friendly and space and whatever. And the market is so vast, then trying to market to that across a hell of a lot of touch points that we're at the moment will be absolutely ridiculous. I bet when you were looking for your car, if it was 5 years ago, you probably Googled it.
Well, yeah, I had an idea. We kind of narrowed it down to maybe 5 or 6 brands for size. Things like the Ford, I think it's the Cougar at the time, was like their big SUV. They sort of size SUVs because we've got the kids now. We didn't plan on doing many holidays abroad, so we wanted to make sure we could go away for a week and have everything in it we need. So the size was a big factor. And then we narrowed it down to 5 or 6, and then most of that was just done through visiting the showrooms then and just trying them out for feel, sitting in them. We only took one on a test drive, which was the one we bought because we kind of didn't felt when we sit in a car, know within the first sort of minute whether it's right. You know, sitting in some of the Peugeots, being 6'2", felt very hemmed in in the cockpit, quite closed in. The same with Range Rovers, a lot of other brands, like your middle console's here and everything's quite tight. Didn't like that. So a lot of it was about the cabin feel as well. Things like the upholstery and just the feel of the quality inside. Personally, I don't like that piano key plastic which came on so many of them. That really shiny, glossy plastic everywhere was in quite a few. And as soon as the kids sat in them for like 10 seconds, I'm like, that's not going to work. We can't be doing with a car that's 80% piano key gloss plastic. So that ruled a whole bunch of cars out, cabin size. So we just narrowed it down.
It's so funny, isn't it? How you change
but that's it. You don't even know what you're looking for sometimes.
Yeah, as long as it goes 80 miles an hour, I'm fine with that. I don't need 0 to 60 and whatever. You know, not too bothered about the speed. As long as it's generally good miles per gallon and it goes 80 to 90, that's fine. I'm not too worried about the other stuff.
See, I had my Audi was an estate, and it was a performance model, and it got nicked, which is why.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I swapped from your house.
We got broken into, and they took both cars. So they took my Audi and they took my wife's Skoda, which was questionable, but that was the reason, the trigger for even looking for a car, because I loved that Audi so much.
Sheesh. Well, we didn't want anything like stealable, but also then the other factor came in. Nothing too all singing, all dancing, but then the other factor came in about the keyless entry, because that was a massive thing at the time. People were getting their keyless entry cars nicked left, right, and centre. So I was like, it's got to have a physical key. I don't want any of this Faraday box business and all this having to store my key. So I kind of went on that tech side. I actually said, no, I don't want the new tech. I want it to have a proper ignition with a key in, so we don't have to worry
and that's
about
a little bit of, I mean, that's media driven, isn't it?
Well, it was at the time. I did a couple of years working for an insurance company, so I knew 70% of our claims were keyless entry theft. It was massive.
Really?
It was costing them hundreds of thousands a year, because it was so. It was the first couple of years before people really knew about Faraday cages, and guys could just nick your car really easily, like just by remote pairing it, and they're off. So it happened so much. So I was always quite against getting a keyless entry car.
Good to know.
Because the rates were high. They've come down now, but they're still quite high, I think. Because the tech wasn't really...
They just nicked my keys.
To really test it out.
They do what they want when they've got the key. The most frustrating thing about that whole experience, I know I'm going off a tangent here.
No, go.
Obi was probably 6 or 7 months old, and he didn't make a sound. 4 blokes.
Obi.
4 blokes came into the house.
as well. You think he'd be...
Yeah.
Zero.
Around.
He probably just
Zero
would have got to
noise.
pat his head and went back to bed, didn't he?
It's ridiculous. I woke up in the morning and obviously when I'd learned what happened, I was like,
Okay.
you? What happened to you?
He let them in. I got him a cup of tea.
The giant dog.
Unbelievable, honestly.
Handed the keys through the window.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, I did look at estates because that's the other side of the coin when you're looking for a family car.
Mm-hmm.
But just looking at the size again, for me being tall and stuff, I just always felt there'd be a little bit too cramped.
The elevated ride position when you've got kids as well, I think, is good.
Yeah, it's quite nice, and I don't think we'll change. We'll keep it till it doesn't go. We're not in them. Don't feel like we need to change up or anything like that now.
So it's so interesting because I think everybody is different, like I said, but then that's so hard to predict across the market because that market is changing really quickly. But a lot of the things that people assume are the most important thing, like one thing that obviously we're seeing is tech companies entering the car market. So they're taking their technology and bringing that into automotives because they can. But out of the three people in this room, you're the only one that was that bothered about the tech.
So Apple put $1 billion or something ridiculous into a car. Did you read that? And then they scrapped it.
Yeah, they abandoned the project, yeah.
But I still think if Apple brought a car out, they'd win. Just because of the cult following, I think they'd make so much cash, even if it were good or not.
I think they've been
reckon
burnt
they'll
a bit.
revive that, you know.
People said that about VR, I think, and I think that's made them second guess themselves after the Vision headset's not really been the game-changing iPhone revolution that they were hoping it would be. I think they're being a bit more cautious these days. But yeah, I totally agree. And if we could have had an EV and home charging, I would have liked to certainly explore that option. But now, in the past 2 years, there's so many more choices out there now for EVs that I think the market's just massively opened up.
The costs come down as well. They used to be like 4 or 5 years ago. They used to be out of reach, didn't they?
Yeah. It's I think we need to talk about search as well and how people are making these decisions and going down the route of, not just necessarily from like a consumer point of view, but how people are doing the research into these brands and how different and fragmented that has now become. Because did you go to a dealer to buy your car?
So I'm a bit of a weird edge case, I think, because for the last, I'm trying to do this conversation in my head. For the last, I love cars, by the way. Let me get that out there. And then also, I've had probably over the last 10 years, I've probably had 5 different cars.
I feel like I've seen you have a lot of different cars, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And I don't think from memory I test drove any of them. I think I ordered them and literally just collected each one.
Yikes.
So that's interesting, see?
To me, that's absolute madness.
Yeah.
Like,
so here,
not
like
even sat
literally
in
two
the seat
completely different ones.
and felt how
Very
it
like
feels
dealership
like
led,
if
yeah.
there's a big pillar here, can you even see what's the real, like, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, that's...
But I guess do you do a lot of research?
Oh, a lot of research, beforehand. But like I say, I'm quite passionate about cars in general. So I feel like I know them well enough to make the call.
Do you feel like you already know what you're going in for? So,
yes, I do my research extensively. But yeah, the last I can't. To be honest, I can't even. I think it's probably about 15 years ago that I actually test drove a car and took it away. The rest have just been.
It's funny though, because when I think about it, the only reason I test drove the vehicle was because it was a used vehicle and I wanted to make sure it ran well and, did all the things I wanted to do. It wasn't because I had any doubts about buying that make and model. It was more because it was a second-hand car and I want to make sure, there's no funny noises coming out of it and the brakes are good, and probably more a reliability check for me than a experience check, because I'd sat in it, tried out different models and done all that research before the drive.
Where did you do research then?
Well, it was visiting car showrooms, essentially. Okay. The big car supermarkets where you can see. You didn't do any
online
brands
before it?
Online was more looking at the prices and because we know how much we can spend. So, things like Auto Trader are really good because you can put in your budget levels. Okay, I've got 10 to 12K, say. What can I get for my 10 to 12K? Well, I can get a 10-year-old this, or a 5-year-old this, you know, and if I get the 10-year-old, it's got much more space, but it's got an extra 50,000 miles on the clock. The 5-year-old one's smaller, but it's only got 5,000. So you can start to make those decisions with the money you've got about what things are important to not, and narrow that down. So yeah, I think a lot of online research was about affordability, price, what was in that range, and then the year and the age and the mileage as well, and what you get for your money. Because you can tell, you know, an Audi, for example, we would have had to get a 10-year-old Audi, say, for the same price. And then you're like, am I bothered about it that it's an Audi? Or, you know, all those sort of decisions to me happen before we got to the showroom. When you get to the showroom, it's like, right, I know there's these 6 cars that are in our price range. Let's go and see if we like them or not. And all of us went, you know, the whole family. It's like everyone's got to like this car. It's not like I'm going to sit and say, this is what we're buying. I need the kids to be comfortable, you know, to be able to get in and out of it easily. I need my wife to be able to be comfortable sitting in the driver's seat as well. So it was a collective decision as well, really.
Pragmatic.
Yeah, very.
Very. Yeah, I mean, my journey's different to that by quite a stretch, I guess.
But but I knew that when we've got that car, we're going to have that car for 15 years now. We're not going to swap it. So to your experience, you might be like, well, you might swap it in a couple of years. So maybe it's a bit different.
Yeah, so I mean, the way that I run having a car now is I'll try and stay inside the manufacturer warranty. So I've had cars, I've had cars that have dropped outside and have gone wrong on a huge scale, and that have cost like extortionate amounts of money to get fixed, and then having to trade them in, blah blah blah. So after that experience, which I've had a lot, I've tried to lease and keep inside manufacturer warranty. I think that probably plays into the decision making, and not having to like go test drive and stuff like that. I
see.
And where I've done the same thing with used ones as well. Like I've been fortunate enough, the last couple of cars have been new, but the 2, 3, 4 cars before that have all been used. However, all been in manufacturer warranty. But in terms of research, it's always, I think, Auto Trader first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then.
And you go specifically to that platform. You wouldn't like just Google it.
Auto Trader first, just to see what the market looks like and see what costs look like. And they've got good specs, good information. And then YouTube for more in-depth reviews.
Yep.
And then
so
it would be
creator-led stuff
after that, I think.
Or like manufacturer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I didn't say I went to more the when you say dealer, like I say, cars, not a not a dealership like a Volkswagen dealership, like the one where you've got all the different cars and ranges to try out, which is quite a fun day out, to be honest. As well.
It is, but I think it's like it used to be a thing, didn't it? Like people would on a Sunday like go car shopping.
Yeah.
Like it is dying out. I think we'll see it die with new generations. Like I think older generations are still doing it, but I don't think younger generations are not going to get to that point until the very, very end. You're still going to have dealerships for purchasing decisions, because with big life costs like that and big ticket items, people want to do it in person quite a lot of the time. But all the stuff that comes between it, the questions, the research, even looking around the interior, you can do that on YouTube now. That's so much of that is going into the digital space and moving away from the physical in-person showrooms and dealerships and whatever else that we're seeing. So it's getting harder for brands to compete in that space as well, because a lot of it's being taken over by, a lot of it's led by like creators, by people, you know, who focus solely on doing like car reviews and in-depth looks around and things like that. A lot of it is not actually owned by the brands, which is really interesting. And we're seeing a little bit more of brands coming into that space, but it still doesn't feel like they necessarily have the monopoly over the online research side of stuff.
Yeah, there's more discovery presence for the marketplaces.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's an opportunity for brands, though. I think brands are having to wake up to the fact that they need to storytell and they need to try and hit notes with people, because it's such a personal thing. Like you said, everybody has got a different idea of what they want, what's important to them, and brands have got to try and market like that, which is super hard.
Yep.
touching on an emotional connection with multiple different people about one model, for example. It's a tricky problem.
But I kind of feel like with the EVs coming in now, that gives me more of a reason to want that face-to-face, because what's the charging cable? Did all the questions about EV length, range, accessibility, technology? I mean, looking online for that stuff feels a bit like daunting, really. All these new things, these things you don't even know about. You know, can I charge it at Tesla? Where can I charge? How much does it charge? You know, all those questions I'd have about moving to an EV personally. I'd probably want to be more dealership-led on that front.
What about LLMs then? A lot of people are turning to things like ChatGPT, Gemini to ask those questions that once upon a time they would have asked in a dealership. And now they're actually turning to AI instead.
Well, that's what it's great for, because there's all the intricate technical questions about charging details and battery details that AI can serve you now, I think, a lot better than it could 5 years ago, say 4 or 5 years ago.
I think from a comparison standpoint, it's easy to create a list of criteria and have an LLM go out and find 10 cars that match that criteria, give you the positives, negatives, costs, technicalities all in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the brands who are considering that approach for people that aren't dealership buyers, like a BYD, for example, done a great job of not only entering the market at a competitive price, but furnishing people with the right information.
Mm-hmm. In the right places.
In the right places.
I think that's one of the key things, and I think that's something that automotive brands are starting to tap into a little bit, but I still don't know if it's quite there, is the native to platform content. That's what feels like it's becoming more and more important. We know across search, like we haven't got this nice linear journey anymore. We've got no idea at what point people see what content or where they're going to see it.
We're going to hit a point though, I think, where the deciding things like technology, obviously a huge one, is going to be pretty much transferable across all models, all vehicles, because they're going to have to do that to compete. So it's going to fall back to building brand advocates. As opposed to selling the features. Because the features are going to become commoditized. Yeah,
well, that's the other thing I think with EVs, you know, it's not about brake horsepower or how many gears it's got or cylinder size or all these, like, what you might refer to like petrol head benefits, because they're all they all run the same. They all go 80 miles an hour max. You're not going to get these 120 miles an hour EVs. So they're all generally performance wise in a much tighter area. I think it's more those questions about storage space, technology features that I think is going to be more important to people, rather than, you know, people like, has it got 6 gears? Has it got a turbocharger? Has it got this? Has it got that? Dude, I don't think they really feature them much, unless you go after, like, you know, an EV Porsche or a real performance model.
Do you think that's an area that brands can tap into more, the everyday questions then? So obviously you go to, you know, most car websites and they very much lead with spec. There's the odd one that lead a little bit more with lifestyle and paint a little bit better picture. But most of the time, if you click into a product, it's literally just talking about spec. And if that's becoming less important, how do brands pivot to the questions that people actually want to know the answers to, the lifestyle, the car fits, all the nice stuff that we're finding elsewhere?
I think the stuff that's transferred from traditional to EV is range. Is obviously first and foremost, I would say. Everybody's concern about it is range. Then infrastructure, like where do I charge? How much is it going to cost? I think beyond that, the strategy that I'm seeing from the flood of Chinese EVs coming into the market is they will just throw everything within their capabilities into a model so that there's no features missing. So you can go in for like a BYD, for example, at 35, 40 grand brand new, and it will outdo a 60 grand Audi for tech massively. And I think this is the thing that like your VWs, your Audis, your Porsche, your BMWs, Toyota to a certain extent, people like that are looking now and thinking, shit, we're going to have to either bring more tech in, or we're going to have to bring down costs, or we're going to have to overinvest in creating brand advocates. So when people think I want an EV, they think I want a BMW or a VW over a BYD.
Yep.
And that's the difficult position I think the legacy OEMs have got in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to figure out how to find a balance, what that balance looks like, what pivots they can do. I think software is a really strong one. They've got the capability of over-delivering in software, I think, and then they've got the heritage of having manufacturing infrastructure, dealer experiences like BYD, all the other ones, Hamoda, Xpeng, JQ, I can name, don't have dealerships.
Nope.
So I think
some of them are looking at bring. I can't remember who it was. Is bringing a load of UK dealerships. They're planning to build like 20 or something.
Yeah, I thought it's quite funny where we are in Wakefield that the old Jaguar Land Rover dealership is now a Chinese brand.
Yeah,
they've taken it over.
Hang on, I've got
JLR closed it down about a year ago, and it's just they've moved in. It looks amazing. Like it was there just for the taking, and they've just completely transformed it, and it's full of all their cars now. I can't remember which brand it is, but
I don't have the reference where this came from on here.
Slid straight into it.
But in 2025, 17 new auto brands entered the market. That's mad for that industry where you'll have had the same brands for forever. 17 new brands crazy, is a lot.
I think in the UK, anyone that's sort of 26 and under is got no advocacy for the big brands.
No, they really don't. Unless maybe like your parents drove it and you might have a little bit of a pull towards something, but I don't think. I think younger generations, there is no pull to a certain car. There is no pull to legacy anymore. I think any of these newer brands that are entering the market could snap them up straight away.
The problem that they've got as well is like the scale of manufacturing out of China means that manufacturing benefits that the big players have got has been leveled.
Yep.
Technology coming out of China, same thing.
Well, loads of brands they can't actually compete with the level of technology that's coming out, can they? They can't match it at all.
No, but one thing I'm quite curious about, being quite new to the EV market and a potential customer, is that it's that sell where it's technology that you don't know about. So
you don't know you need
the only one that's I've really seen marketed that is obviously, apart from sat nav, everything that Apple CarPlay has, or your fuel and charge, is that you can heat your car up in the morning before you get into it in the winter.
That does appeal to me.
For people that I know is a massive benefit.
But how have you heard about that? Through word of mouth?
Well, because that's what some of the brands are marketing. That's their ad. It's like, your car's warm before you get into it on like the winter mornings we're having. It's that tangible benefit of what differences make to my life, rather than, I mean, a BYD might have a million tech features, but I haven't got a clue what they are or if I even need them or not, because I've not got that demand. But to get the car warm in the morning, that is the demand I would love right now. And if an EV does that, that suddenly makes my morning routine every day in winter 15 minutes easier and faster every single day of the week, which is a massive benefit. But for me, it's like they need to convert these tech benefits into that life enrichment, which they've done with the preheated car. That's a really big one. I've not seen really any other ones that have come out yet to say, this car will make your life better because it does X.
I think
technology.
That's an exact example of how I think the brands need to market though.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that. But that's the only one that I can really remember that makes me go, wow.
That's because it resonates with you, though.
Yeah. They do some of the lifestyle things,
the UK,
but they're a bit too generic sometimes. They'll be like, the car that's, they'll be like, here's a car for adventure, and they just drive off-road a bit. And that's kind of it.
But I think there's country-specific stuff as well, like that is going to be more prevalent in the UK, right? Because it's fucking miserable.
They're not bothered about that.
Windscreen again, like amazing. Like that is brilliant.
Yeah.
And then you see like the Chinese EV people are going into Australia with like Range Rover like for likes, and they're flying out door because Australians want the big SUVs and the premium sort of interiors that Range Rover offer, but they're like half the price.
Yeah.
So there's definitely personalization, but also knowing your audience. It's like having native content, have it localized.
But I guess this is where we're talking about like user-centered search and actually putting the user at the center of all that marketing rather than just talking about the product. It's about who that user is and where they interact with different types of content and how do we say the right message to them in the right place, in the right way.
Yep, tricky.
Very tricky.
But doable.
Yeah, 100% doable. I think it's just that thing that we're saying at the moment, isn't it, where marketing strategies are becoming, I wouldn't say more complicated. Harder. And just a lot more prongs to them, basically. Like, you're not just always going in for this strategy, we can just pivot it across these different audiences. It's not as simple as that anymore because you just never know where people are going to see you or, you know, what form that content needs to take at that time.
Yeah, there's always going to be keys. Like, there's always going to be high level, price led.
Yeah.
Like, say, range for EVs, consumption for petrol and diesel.
But now it's becoming more competitive.
Yeah.
They'll become less important because if everybody's doing the same thing and it's just like a given. It's like if you buy a smartphone now, right? I know obviously everybody's like either an Apple or not Apple. But if you went into a shop and like went to buy a smartphone, say it was like the first one you ever bought, you'd be pretty confident they all do what you need a smartphone to do. And they all do similar stuff. It's going to have a decent camera. It's going to support the apps you need to use day to day. It's going to do all the stuff that you need a smartphone to do. As the car market becomes more saturated, that's just going to be a given. So they're not going to be as big a selling features anymore because they'll all do them.
Yep, it's tough to get the mix right, I think.
Well, that's why I think it's much more about the person, like that shopping experience that we went through, that research process. If we could have done that on Auto Trader, you know, I'm looking for a car for 4 people with good headroom for a 6'2" driver, you know, with storage space for luggage for 4 people to go away for a week, and all those other details that goes a decent speed and is reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And then to be able to be served a list of results is what I would have wanted, but we couldn't do that at the time.
If you were buying a car now,
it was what engine size do you want?
Where would you go and ask that?
Well, I'll probably use AI.
Yeah,
in the first.
Knew you were going to say that.
But
yeah,
I'm hoping it won't have to be the case like that, and manufacturers might get involved in it more. Resellers and auto traders of the world.
I think the smart manufacturers have got an opportunity to present in LLMs and attach experiential into it.
Yeah.
And bring the advantages of like dealer-led experiences via tech.
Because also those LLMs are becoming cleverer. Like as people are using them more and more, they're learning more about that individual. And you might literally just go in now and say, what car should I get? And be like, right, based on everything I know about you and your lifestyle, here's a good car, without you even prompting it.
Yeah, absolutely. With the memory, long-term memory coming more.
So it's not even about, that might suggest something based on personality and life and everything you fed into about yourself that you didn't even know you wanted,
and
or you didn't even know you needed.
That's where building brand is super important.
Yeah,
because if you've created an imprint on someone and they are faced with a decision being taken out of their hands by an LLM, they've got the trigger there that brings that brand back into front of mind when they're in that mindset of making a decision, and then they will challenge what they're being presented with, and that's probably, I don't want to sound dramatic, but like a last hope for brands. But
legacy brands have that because like they're all, there's a certain connotation I would say attached to like every legacy car brand you can think of.
Yeah.
Right. And they've obviously built that up over a very long time. And that's what's going to play massively into that decision. Like if you're presented with a load of cars side by side, one you've never really heard of, one that's, I don't know, like an Audi and like a VW or whatever, you're like, I feel like an Audi suits me best out of them. that actually might be part of the decision at that point, and that's based purely on brand and legacy brand as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's for me, it feels like people that try those brands probably have a bit of a risk involved because you don't know how reliable they are. They've got no history. You don't really know, whereas Volkswagen and those other brands, there's a Volkswagen dealership down the road. It's been there for 30 years. You've got a bit of history about them with these new brands, and you're coming into it cold. So
yeah, nobody's had one for longer than a year, so you don't know how long they last.
Just on the basis of the recency, not knowing. The oldest online review is probably 18 months old.
I think older generations will think like that because it's like, if you've had a car forever, you know how much it costs to repair a car, you know how much it costs when something goes wrong. Newer car buyers and younger car buyers that are kind of like entering the market or, quite newish to the market won't care about that. Because then they haven't, I think if you've not been in that situation where you suddenly have to foot out a massive bill for a car that's gone wrong, which we've all been in, you think it's never going to happen to you. So I think younger generations will just go for, they kind of want the new thing sometimes. They don't necessarily want what everyone else has had.
or what your parents drive.
Yeah.
As well, I think there's probably a bit of that, but.
Yeah, and then in another 10 years, no one will drive anyway.
Oh, all right. What does the automotive industry do then?
I have no idea. Autonomous is coming though. So
well, one factor that I often thought about is it's the servicing side as well, because obviously you think current ICE vehicles, you've got oil changes and all the rest of it. There's a whole lot of network and mechanics behind it. Whereas with EVs, you don't have any of those things. So one would assume your servicing costs are then a tenth, a fifth of what they were before.
Are they?
The mechanic network might.
They ain't got any moving parts. Really,
I mean.
There's a motor.
Do you have to get them serviced?
I think you have to have them. You have to have them serviced,
but
for road safety.
Yeah.
And then, but they all come with 8-year battery warranties.
Right.
Yeah, so there's not going to be not going to have to go get your gearbox changed because they don't have a gearbox. And all this other thing. These big expensive repairs, in theory, may well be a thing of the past. You think about, because
I've just seen one of the big insurers in the US have cut the premiums for any Tesla drivers that have full self-drive mode.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're essentially saying
we trust that more than we trust you. Yeah.
It's much safer than trusting people to drive it. So we're going to cut premiums.
I mean, fair enough. I've crashed a lot of cars. I probably need that.
But then, on the back of that, there's an expectation that battery replacement is going to be a massive industry in 10 years' time. And, everyone who owns an EV after 10, 12 years is going to want to swap their battery rack out. So there's going to be a whole business and a whole wheel built around battery rack swapping because, they're going to run for 100, 200,000 miles, but the batteries aren't going to hold up that capacity. So there's going to be all that's going to come down the line, I think, in the future.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want some quick fire questions?
Yeah.
So these are, what would these be? Kind of like a bit of assumptions that we can dive into and give our opinion on. Reddit isn't a car buying channel.
Oh, I disagree with that. I think there's very honest, candid opinions to be had.
Yeah, and what are the LLM tools scraping?
Yeah, exactly.
Reddit.
So Reddit's an interesting one now. I've seen quite a lot of posts on there where people will share a vehicle, get people's opinions. Is this good value for money? People will tell them things to watch out for. It's a good forum to bounce thoughts off about potential vehicles. I think people are using it quite a lot for that sort of stuff. But yeah, not as more as when you've got that decision down, some people will share, I've got these two cars to choose from. Here's the prices. Thoughts, anyone? And people will contribute quite happily to it.
Yeah, they will. Everybody loves to have their voice heard and have an opinion.
I think it could play a big part in that filtering process, especially with these new brands coming on. People are going to be asking, I've got a BYD coming up. Has anyone got any thoughts on it? Or could play a big part potentially.
this isn't the most quick fire question, but try and keep it quick. What do you think is the most valuable channel for automotive brands going forward?
Video.
Yeah.
Right now.
I'm really glad you said that because that's what I had here. I kind of restructured that point to see if you said it.
Yeah, I think YouTube is super important.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think a lot of the dealerships when I was looking were doing video reviews of the one they had in, which was good. And then other people were doing, I've had this car for a weekend, here's my views on it as well, which were really good. Tying them together.
Yeah, creator content is basically can influence a decision.
Yeah, alongside the dealership, when you're getting down to, here's this one, it's in Manchester, I'm looking at it, the guy's done a video of it. That was really valuable as well.
Imagine if a brand, like a big brand, was brave enough to sit all that content on one of their sites. So bring in opinions from Reddit, bring in videos from YouTube, and have it as part of like the model page,
like the spec. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're saying. Like the spec's less important now.
So you get people landing on that page looking for that model,
and it's there. Like the price is there.
Ford Focus or whatever, and then they scroll through all the dealer information, and then they've got videos from creators, they've got videos from dealers, they've got opinions and conversations from Reddit. Be the destination.
I mean, you've literally brought that search under your platform at that point.
Yeah, and I think
what Google would do with that.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking that.
I think I think there's an increasing value in them. One of the things I noticed on a lot of manufacturers is a lot of their videos are like CG.
Yeah.
So they'll do brand new models, even on things like VW, the ID ranges. A lot of their videos aren't real videos, you know, they're simulations of the inside, and they look lovely and pretty, but as a user, you
want a bit real life.
You'd rather see the real thing.
Like, obviously we say like everybody wants a car for a different thing, but like when I bought my car, I'm probably a bit different to you guys. I wanted something. Go on.
Well, yeah. What was your process then?
Right, go on. So I needed something. I knew I wanted to buy a tent box, so I needed a car that would fit the tent box on. So that was like a big decision. I pretty much, like, most of the time have 2 car seats in the back. So I've got a niece and nephew, and I seem to be constantly ferrying them both around everywhere. So there is pretty much always 2 car seats in the back. 2 dogs, so need space for 2 dogs in the boot. My car is usually absolutely filthy because I live in a village in the countryside, and on a weekend we'll drive to the middle of nowhere, go on a long trail run, and then get back in the car. So the inside's filthy, the outside's filthy. And it needs to cope with just all of that, basically. It needs to be like reliable, don't really care if it gets a bit shit up and ruined. That's it. That's how it works. Which is very different to, I mean, probably more similar to yours, Adam.
You're a great advert for the brand, though.
No, I am. Guess what car I have, Adam?
A van? Did you buy a van in the end?
No, I bet you could guess it.
A lot, well, something quite large, I imagine, like could be a Land Rover people carrier.
I would like a Land Rover, I just can't afford one.
Oh, right, okay.
A Jeep.
Ah, brilliant. Do quite like some of the Jeep models.
But again, the brand fits the lifestyle.
They've got quite a nice look about them, I think. Some quite unique look. I've always thought Jeep owners would be quite passionate because it is a bit of a brand out there. You don't see many of them on the road. No. Like they're a bit below the radar. Don't hear a lot about them in sort of media, but they are quite nice looking vehicles.
But everybody knows what a Jeep is, and they know.
Yeah.
They know what a Jeep's for.
Wow.
It's ragging about a bit, isn't it? I can't remember what the point was. Where did this come from? We were talking about video, weren't we?
Video, yeah.
But showing that, what I was saying was, you were saying about showing that lifestyle kind of thing. Like, I think that was more what I looked at.
Personal.
Yeah. It was more like creator-led content, actually showing that car in these, like one of the things I Googled was Jeep tent box. Like, I wanted to see somebody else using that car with the tent box on it.
Did you ever think about the top speed or the handling or the actual? Yeah, it's what I mean. I think performance is becoming less and less important, particularly as my understanding is, EVs have a pretty much a speed ceiling where as soon as you go over that, the battery just flies down because over sort of 85, 90 for most of them. So I just think performance is becoming less and less important, really. And that's why those AI search questions around, if you put all that into, I'd love to see what you get. All those, dog space.
We should try this.
See what comes out.
This is what
Maybe
we should
you'll
all
get
do.
your Jeep back. It'll go, you should have got this. It's cheaper than
yeah.
Jeep. You're like,
I've probably already told it at some point. I've got a Jeep, and it probably
those practical questions. Yeah,
that would be a good test actually. If after this we all went and put in our requirements for a car and see what it served us.
Did you have any preferences like reversing camera? Any tech preferences at all? Like no. Okay, it's really interesting.
No. 0.
Wow. Will it drive through 6 foot of water?
Literally.
See, mine was...
I'm like, will it park on the moors off road? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Mine was probably half tech and half practicality, whereas yours sounds like
mine's all practicality, and also like a bit of height, because like where I live, it's like little country roads, and if you can't see over the walls, like it's helpful if you can see over the wall and see what's coming around the corner, because it's just single track a lot of it. So that's another thing I quite liked.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, but for me, video content was like super important in making that decision. Like that's one of the main things I went and looked at was, lifestyle led content where people were actually using it day to day. And I think that's where, like you said, that needs to start showing up a little bit more. Not the polished stuff, the CGI, and there's certain brands where that's always going to be important. But the day to day, like more household consumer focused brands, like they just need to show stuff in action.
It sounds like they need to use you as a brand advocate, Polly.
They do, don't they?
With the dogs, with the look at all this stuff I can fit in this workhorse machine.
Exactly.
You poster on there.
I just got dry rub seat covers and everyone's making fun of me now.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. I've had so much stick from my friends. Because the phrase is what's like dry road wankers, and they're like, how have you managed to do that to your car? I was like, I liked them, they're really comfy. Anyway. Yeah. Well, anything to add?
I think we need to do a follow-up on the LLM response.
I think that's a really cool exercise to do, actually.
Yeah, and different engines as well, because that's always the question for me is like, do they have a favourite?
Yeah.
Do you find that Gemini generally favours, VW brands or American brands? Like, is there any? Because I know obviously they use like a balanced algorithm and processing, but you do think there must. Yeah. Is there some commonalities where if you ran 20 through this with these requirements, does it generally surface these brands more than others? Especially with the new brands coming out as well. Do they have favourites?
Let's go find out. Very good.
And obviously with paid ads coming in now as well, that's going to muddy the decision-making process as well when you've got those showing up in your chat GPT search, because it's going to know what you're searching for, and then suddenly as well as alongside that, you're going to get served these contextual rich ads. So it's going to be interesting to see how that lands.
Definitely. Well, we are doing a webinar.
We are.
In 2 weeks, I think. Don't know what date it'll be by the time this comes out, but it's on the 26th of February. And we're going to be going into quite a lot of depth and data around search within the automotive industry and how that looks for brands, how consumers are searching, how they're finding that content, and giving our analysis and insight into what that looks like and how brands can learn from it as well. So we'll add it to the description if you'd like to sign up. But yeah, that's us for today.